Hello there, what is going on everyone? Today we are talking about the most exciting announcement out of Ministravaganza. Well, that's my personal opinion. It's definitely one of the most exciting announcements, and there were quite a few. We're talking about the Jedi Council pack that is going to be coming out next year. This is a very important video. Well, they're just as important as all the rest. If you guys are new here to the channel, make sure you like and subscribe. Leave a comment. We're still doing Life Day giveaway too. So again, you have to be a subscriber and leave a comment if you want to have a chance to enter to win any of those giveaways. I typically announce winners at the end of my videos. Stay tuned. There might be a winner at the end of this one. You never know. Let's talk about the Jedi Council. So, a lot of people have been saying, myself included, that we needed more lightsabers in Star Wars Legion. I love lightsaber users, and with a lot of the changes that they're making, it seems like we're getting a lot more ways to add people. For example, Ahsoka being both, her own character as well as being able to join a clone unit, things like that. Or like the Bad Batch all being one unit, and you have all those characters as a single unit. And by doing things like that, you can get more characters in the game, and that leaves more open opportunities for named characters. Or, of course, with their custom characters, you can make your own Jedi as well. So there's a lot of opportunities to do all of these great things, but I am very excited that we're actually able to get more Jedi. This does hopefully mean that a Jedi battle force may be on the way. They didn't confirm that, but I think enough people have been asking about that, and I think it just kind of makes sense, although I can understand that it might seem a little bit dangerous to have like an entire unit that, or, an entire army that's maybe like, 5 activations of just like crazy powerful Jedi and stuff. I would rather it be a little underpowered and fun rather than overpowered and then mandatory, right? But I think that'd be a very, very fun thing to do. We're getting some awesome Jedi in this one. They started it off with this very, very cool graphic about Mace Windu, and this is also one that it tends to bring up a lot of controversy. Now, Mace Windu, probably the #1 most requested Jedi that isn't in game yet. Definitely a lot of people have wanted him. Now, there's some Jedi that people wanted that aren't in this pack also, but there's definitely some Jedi that people wanted that are in this pack, and this is very cool. So, I am a really big fan of this. Now, keep in mind, if you looked at this image, you may have saw that this is actually Jango Fett's visor, right? Like, this is the reflection of Mace Windu in Jango Fett's visor, perhaps the last thing Jango Fett ever saw. I don't... for a little while, I thought this was confirmation of Jango Fett, and of course, Jango Fett's coming. Of course he is, right? But this doesn't necessarily mean he's coming soon. Of course, they're going to try and do every popular Star Wars character they can, and even plenty of obscure Star Wars characters. Heck, we even saw stuff like Rebel Guerrillas get activated, not really are announced, not necessarily guerrillas, but guerrillas, not gorillas, but guerrillas. I don't know how you spell that. How you phonetically... Well, no, of course I know that's exactly how you spell it. You just don't say it that way. But we know that they do obscure stuff too, but it's great to see very, very high iconic stuff. Now, Jango Fett almost certainly is coming to the game, but this doesn't necessarily mean he's coming right away, although it could be a teaser that he is coming. I think more than likely, however, the art we see here is probably one of Mace Windu's command cards. This is probably a command card. I would guess perhaps a 1-pip of Mace Windu's that allows him to basically kill somebody, someone very much like Jango Fett. This is probably that card you play with Mace Windu right as he comes and destroys you. You might even call this card Shatterpoint. Maybe. Maybe you do. Maybe not. Maybe not. Again, Shatterpoint is... I'm not talking about the game Shatterpoint, but Shatterpoint as a technique, something that Mace Windu, his special tie into the Force, as well as the book that was just before Disney took over. So technically it's still Legends, but it's all about Mace Windu, right? And how he could break the weakness in somebody. He could find that Shatterpoint, the way to kind of, have that weak point that shatters their armor, and whether it be literally, breaking through armor, I imagine he's going to be very good at hitting Mandalorians, not just because of the fact that he killed one in Episode 2, but also because of the fact that that's kind of what Shatterpoint as a philosophy is all about. And so I wouldn't be surprising if, people lost, immunity to Pierce, or if they you know, or something like that, or maybe it requires a crit or something like that to trigger or whatever. But something, some kind of cool, or like some kind of fatal ability. I'm guessing this is probably a command card. Now, when we think about Mace Windu, I definitely expect him to be a very offensive Jedi. I think he's going to be similar to Darth Maul, kind of how the Separatists have, or kind of how Maul works. Now, they both use the same form, but they use different variations of it. So while Maul uses Juyo Mastery, which can kind of basically give him an extra action. Mace Windu created a variation of that called Vapad. It requires intense emotional control, and Mace Windu, actually kind of taps into or borrows a little bit of the dark side when he channels it. Now, that probably means that the write-ups, since they do write-ups for the different forms and the different masteries, if a particular Jedi has mastered a lightsaber form, that's usually the form that they will get. Typically, we haven't seen too many lightsaber masteries in game. We've seen quite a few, like Yoda has some, Anakin, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan, we've seen a couple, Dooku, for example, Asajj Ventress, there's a couple, but not every Jedi has to have a specific lightsaber mastery. Now, I do expect him to have Vapad. I don't think they'll give him Juyo. I think they'll give him Vapad, and I expect Vapad will work kind of different than Juyo, but it might be a little bit similar. It may be involved him getting some kind of extra free action, or it may be written up completely differently just so that it ties in to a functional way for Mace Windu to play and feel different from other Jedi. So that wouldn't surprise me. Just because it's the same form number, but a variation of it, doesn't mean that it's going to work nearly the same. If you look at, for example, Anakin and Ahsoka, they both use the same form, but different variations. Gemso versus Xian, the same form number, but one is more offensive, one is more defensive, and that's kind of, and they wrote them up to be functionally totally different. So, I expect that same thing would happen with Mace Windu. So I don't expect it to do the same thing that Maul does, but I do expect him to kind of be a similar role on the battlefield to Maul. I expect him to just basically be an assassin who's just going out there just killing people. I think that's the role he's going to play. But he's not the only Jedi we're getting in this box. We're also getting Ki-Adi-Mundi, who's very old, by the way. Very old, and the only Jedi that's actually allowed to go take a mate because his species was, they were dying off, and they needed that mojo. And Ki-Adi-Mundi's like, very well, I will do what I must. I'll be back in 3 weeks, guys. No. So Ki-Adi-Mundi's he primarily used Makashi Mastery, so I expect him to be a master. I expect him to have Makashi Mastery because he was a Makashi user. He had other forms also. They could give him a Taru or Soresu, but I expect he'll be Makashi, and it'll be a good opportunity for Makashi to find its way into the Republic, and that could be a pretty good use for Ki-Adi-Mundi. It will be kind of funny if he has some kind of synergy about like the meme of him saying, "What about the droid attack on the Wookiees?" It'll be funny if that factors in to anything. But also, out of some of the folks that are on here, I expect every Jedi on here to have Master of the Force. At least Master of the Force 1, because again, these are all Jedi Council members. They're typically, whenever you're on the council, you're a master. In most cases, in 99.9% of all cases, if you're on the council, you're also a master. But I think because of his age, he might be a candidate for Master of the Force 2 if you were looking for somebody else to have Master of the Force 2. Which would be very interesting if he had Makashi Mastery also, because then you'd have to make an interesting choice with him. Do you keep him back and you keep him doing kind of Force things and be supportive? Or do you take him in and try to get those people who have immunity to Pierce? Do you try to be the the Jedi hunter or the Sith hunter, so to speak, for the role that he might play in Star Wars Legion? That's kind of what I think Ki-Adi-Mundi will be, though. I expect him to have Makashi Mastery at least, maybe Master of the Force too. Also, Shaak Ti. Shaak Ti is coming in here. Not one of the ones that I had on the top of my list, but she is certainly memorable to me as having the most deaths out of anyone in all of Star Wars. She has died so many times in just about every format, whether it was the Clone Wars cartoon, or the Force Unleashed games, or the the deleted scenes from Episode 3. She dies quite a bit, and it's all been erased or is not canon. So who knows if she's actually dead or not. Shaak also was used Makashi, but she was also good at Ataru, and proficient in all 7 forms. So I feel like she might not have a specific lightsaber mastery. It's possible that she could be more of a force-based character, or perhaps have some kind of versatility keyword that allows her to do, like, that kind of reflects her ability to be well-trained in all lightsaber forms. Maybe not maybe not to the level of achieving mastery in any specific one, but rather being more than proficient in all of them. So they could come up with something new for her, reflecting her versatility with lightsabers. That's my guess, is that she's going to have some kind of new keyword, but I could be wrong about that. It would be funny to me if there was some kind of command card or something that triggers, some kind of mechanic that she has that triggers based off of her dying. It'd be funny. I don't think they would go to the levels of it just straight being a meme, like a command card that's like, is this the real death? Is she dead for real this time? I don't think they'll go quite that far, but it would be a nice little nod to all the EU deaths and all the deleted scenes and stuff. If there was some kind of mechanic that worked based on her death, it would be interesting. Not necessarily like straight up like Obi-Wan Kenobi, like dying to let Luke get away, but maybe, or maybe if she dies, something happens. It would. That's my prediction for her: versatility, and also that could reflect how she works. Like, she might not just be good in only one type of list; she could be an all-around type of commander, but also some kind of mechanic that works after she dies. We'll see. Last but most certainly not least from this pack, Plo Koon. Plo Koon, one of the best. I expect him to be very good. I expect him to be very fun. I expect him to be very popular because he's Plo Koon. Dave Filoni's favorite Jedi. Look, the first thing I thought of when I saw Plo Koon is, like, I hope they bring in Commander Wolf and the Wolf Pack. I hope that is another thing that's coming, because he should absolutely be the next clone battle force. Not necessarily, not saying that this should happen before a Jedi Council battle force, but if you're trying to look for another clone battle force, absolutely should be about the Wolf Pack. That'd be a cool one. Plo Koon, there's a lot of interesting things about Plo Koon. He had a lot more screen time than many other Jedis. When you look at, like, the Clone Wars and stuff, he had so much going on. For one, he found Ahsoka, right? He was he might have some kind of special synergy with Ahsoka, maybe entourage or something like that. The Wolf Pack, he is compassionate. He cares about the clones. He cares about the people around him. I expect him to be protective. I expect him to possibly have Guardian, or maybe only Guardian for, like, core or something like that, or maybe Guardian troop, any trooper. It's something like that. I would see that. He also largely used Form 5, so likely Gemso mastery, similar to Anakin. Or they may give him a slightly different variation on it, but I expect him to be very defensive. I expect him to be pretty strong, but again, also, hopefully, this means that Wolf is coming with that weird, differently shaped helmet of his, and then the Wolf Pack also coming. So that will be a very cool opportunity to bring some more clones out there and get some very cool, awesome paint jobs. And they're going to be tough because, again, you got a lot of extra line work on the Wolfpack's paint jobs. So it'll be a challenge to all you detailed painters out there to paint them up. But those are the 4 Jedi we're getting in the Jedi Council. Hopefully this is an idea of how they may look or how they may work in-game. I expect them to have their own command cards. I'm not sure if they're going to give them personnel cards or things that let them also work inside a unit on their own, because, again, these are masters, so I don't really think that they're going to do that. I think if they're going to be taking named characters and putting them in clones, I don't know if it's going to allow all the masters to do that, but I think the Padawans and stuff like that might be able to do that. You know, so if we get Luminara at some point, well, you know, then her Padawan can come in, Barris can then come in and do that stuff. You know, so like there's room for other things like that. But I think these 4 are probably just going to be their own characters, whether they be commanders or operatives. I kind of feel like they would each be commanders. I just feel that, although Mace Windu could have an operative version. He could, and maybe he'll work kind of like Iden Versio, right? Like you come in and you're just like, all right, I'm gonna actually, you know what? I'm gonna play this one as an operative, and then I get a bonus, and then I go crazy and I give into the dark side just a little bit, dip my toes into the dark side, you know, and that's why he's got that purple lightsaber, right? All right, so that's our look at the Jedi Council pack. This one is very, very exciting. As we get more previews of this, we'll be talking about it. Remember, maybe bookmark this video if you want to see if any of my predictions were correct. I would wager that I got a couple of them correct. That's why they're my predictions. All right, before we end this video, I do want to do a giveaway today for the 12 Days of Life Day. Today we're going to be giving away a Force Push promo with Anakin giving Asajj Ventress, you know, making her go airborne and pushing her away. This is the first promotional card, alternate art card that AMG did for Star Wars Legion, voted on by the community. And yeah, and this is still in the small card style. One of the most popular cards, especially for Jedi. I thought it was appropriate to give out Force Push when we got a whole bunch of Force users. Great card to have, especially on Masters of the Force. And yeah, we're going to give that away. Today's winner for the Force Push is Master Tim 1127. Congratulations, Master Tim. You, sir, won yourself a Force Push. If you did not win, don't worry. You've got 30 days to claim this. Master Tim, shoot me an email at mailcrabbok@gmail.com. We'll get this out to you. Give me your shipping address. Remind me what you've won, because we're doing a lot of giveaways this month. If you didn't win, there's plenty more giveaways coming. You just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. I want to thank all of you guys for watching. I want to thank my patrons for helping make this channel possible. If you're interested in Patreon, things that go unclaimed for Life Day, after 30 days, we'll roll over into Patreon giveaways. Plus, you gain early access to battle reports and name in the credits and Discord roles and all kinds of stuff like that. So if you're interested in helping support the channel, links are in the description below. You can also head over to Battle Foam if you're looking to buy some foam and cool stuff to transport your minis. You can save 15% by using code Crabbok VIP over at Battle Foam. And I think that's it for everything. All right, thank you guys so much. May the Force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. So say we all. And always wash your socks.